Well, good morning, everybody. Good morning, Tony. Morning, Katana. Uh, I'm Norm Aiken, and welcome to the Autodesk Revit Electrical. It's sponsored by Imaginative Technologies. And I would like to thank Tony and Katana for setting this up so that we could dive a little bit deeper into the Autodesk Revit electrical portion. Just some quick introductions. This is our agenda for today. We're going to go through a couple of introductions, the purpose of the presentation, some of the MEP services that Imaginative will provide, Imaginative utilities and software development, Revit. Then we're going to get into the meat of the Revit. We're going to look at engineering the electrical panels, adding those panels and connecting circuits from the design stage. And then when we get into construction stage and fabrication, we're going to look at placing those systems, the cable trays, the bus duct, the conduit. And we're going to look again at some Imaginative services that are available to everyone that's listening. And we'll wrap up with a conclusion. So why Imaginative Technologies? Well, the clear choice is Imaginative for experience. We have over 45,000 satisfied customers, and we are the largest Autodesk service provider with the largest staff of technical experts in the industry. We also have 36 Autodesk training centers, 12 mobile labs, and 8 online labs. So with this COVID, we're fully equipped to train your workers where they're at. So we're not always being in the office, but we can train from anywhere we have a technician set up. Okay, like I said, my name is Norman Aiken. I've worked in this industry for 31 years, and I got my start. It was kind of funny. My dad taught me how to play the banjo, and he also taught me how to organize the electrical panels. He was an electrician for many years, and I went with him on many job sites and found that everything was just a total rat's nest. So we picked up those skills at an early age, and when I first started in AutoCAD, I was an electrical engineer at a chemical plant. And as the years have gone by, I've learned Revit, and I've picked up the Revit tools as well, which are very good, but they are still in development. So they're robust tools, and they're going to be better. I've been an instructor for AGC America at Autodesk University and for the AIA. I specialize in Autodesk Revit, the BIM 360 platform, reality capture. Yes, I do have my own drone, and I make sure I'm not spying on people. And of course, the Autodesk recap. Some of the Imaginative utilities and software development, we have a full staff that just develop Dynamo, produce scripts, program your Revit to customize anything that you would have us to do. So our programming team is as well as any they program other languages, and then let us build your next solution. The purpose of this presentation is we want to include training, okay, packages as well as our productivity now solutions. We have experts on staff from every area of the AEC industries. Okay, we want to learn how to make the designs correct the first time, and we want to be able to share that with you from our experience. And as you can see on this picture here, there's a bad panel design and there's a good panel design. I worked for many years at Play Network, which is located in Seattle. They do background music for restaurants and let's see, retail, and places like that. And I have gone into some of those areas and nothing was labeled. There were 500 different circuits going, kind of like, since it's the Christmas season, remember that one scene in A Christmas Story where 500 wires were plugged into the wall and they had the little whiff of ozone? Kind of like that, but we want to be able to go and build things, correctly. So, what's unique in Revit is the ease in which electrical systems can be added. So some of the tools that are in the Revit system, okay, are the systems tools. And the electrical tools are in the systems category, and I just kind of pulled that out here just to show you the ease. And we will have a live demo when this is over, so we can kind of look to see how easy it is to put this together. But simply to put a panel in place, you just select it from the electrical equipment, check to make sure it's the right type of panel. The Revit library has a very large number of panels that you can add, so they're already pre-made. And you can just add them to like you would any other Revit component. So you would add those panels to the walls, and then once you add the panels, you place it, you put it where you want it to. You can start checking to make sure that it is not going to be under pipe, or you can start looking at those clash detections, those clash areas now, to make sure your electrical panels are going to be placed properly. Now, the MEP panels have all the connection points. As you can see from this example, I placed this on the wall and it shows that it's a 480 volt panel. There's 0 volt amps. There's nothing connected, but these connection points, okay, show where the conduit can hook up. So all you do is just go to the conduit command, okay, and at this point just select and place the conduit. So that's very easy, very simple to do. Okay, when you go in and you start looking at the equipment, you just start looking through your information. So I selected this panel, and you see that I'm going to create the power system. So I can take this panel, hook it into a transformer, and have all the downline feed from the transformer. Okay, these the panel's easy, it's simple, and we're going to use the proper tools. So when we create that power, then we can hook that to a transformer or whatever downline piece of equipment. So your order is to place and to create. And I put the power plug in here just very quickly. And like I said, we're going to walk through some of this and see how it does. When you place that circuit in, okay, then you want to put your conduit or your wire trays in. And again, I've got a cable tray system here, and it uses system tools to create a cable tray system for the project. You just follow the prompts on the options bar and you build it properly. Okay, there are several cable trays that are added into the library. There's the conduit that's added into the library, and there is bus duct as well. So, but it's just a simple, place the first point, go to the second point, put your 90, put your elevation, and just walk your way around. Same with the conduit. When you go to the conduit, you have 2 different tools that you can use for your conduit. You can do a single conduit, which again, you place the first point, you place the end point, and if you're going to put it in a box, okay, you place that conduit in the box, it connects to the box, builds those connectors, and then you're able to build from there. Okay, and the second conduit tool that you have is the parallel conduits, and what that does, it will create a conduit system, okay, or a system of conduits that you can now start putting power, data, um, any type of electrical information in those conduits. And then there's the fabrication parts. Okay, under your system browser, there's the fabrication parts. Okay, and you can add various information onto this. Now, the difference between using the fabrication parts and straight conduit or straight cable tray is that in the fabrication parts, it has a base of distance of 10 feet, 6 feet, whatever you set that up for. So now you can take this, send it directly to the manufacturing facility, and they know, you know, how many straight pieces I'm going to have without having to recalculate that math. Okay, and you can build a system to send to them as well, so that when they manufacture, and look at this picture here, just a simple conduit run, okay? But this is how they're going to build it in the manufacturing plant, so that they can put this on the lift it up into the building, and then just make those connections. Okay, any questions so far before I jump into the exciting part of this?
Nope, don't have any questions yet.
Looks good. Okay, well, then let's just jump into Revit and start looking at this from a Revit view. So click over to Revit, and I already have this one project that started. Okay, and I'm looking at it as, you know, I've got some power plugs, I've got some panels, got some lights, and what I want to do is to take and start building this information. So I'm going to start building this information using a couple of different methods. Okay, the first I talked about was going to the systems and building, you know, the tools. Here's the wire, the cable tray, conduit, parallel cable tray fittings, and conduit fittings, electrical equipment. I'm going to start just by selecting the electrical equipment, and okay, let me pull my properties menu up there. So you see in my electrical equipment, okay, I've got all of these types of transformers that I can put in. I've got switching, lighting panels, power panels, lighting panel board. Okay, so this is 208 volt, this is 480 volt panels, and, you know, 600 amps. Okay, so I'm just going to go to the highest and place it where I want. Okay, so there's my panel, and there's my connection points on that panel. Okay, and if I click on the conduit, okay, oops. Okay, that conduit connector will place that conduit on there. Okay, but I'm just going to try the conduit with fittings. Okay, EMT conduit, and place my fittings there, and you see how it switches my view to where I'm going to put that fitting. So I want it right here. That's good. Okay, and I can build that system from there. I'm going to finish that connection. Okay, so when I hit finish that connection, you see my conduit is now part of that, and I'm just putting in some conduit here just to show you that that fitting works there. So my panel here is now connected to this conduit, and when I look at the conduit, it shows me that it's connected where it's at. Okay, and I'm going to put my service type in here as a power. Okay, so that's now power conduit. And I'll come back to that portion later. I'm just going to have that one single conduit, but I want with my panel, before I start adding anything else to it, before I get too complicated, I want to go ahead and create the system. So I'm going to turn properties off. I'm going to go to browsers and system browser. Okay, and if I look at my system browser, okay, I've got 46 items that are unassigned and one item that is assigned. So I'm looking, okay, how do I assign that? If I look at this receptacle, there's the receptacle, there's my connection. So what I did, I just selected the information, and so I'm going to add some more information to this panel. Okay, so I'm going to select here. Okay, select that power plug. Now my power did show up over here. Okay, but I want this to be on one circuit, but I want these three to be on a circuit. So say hit the power, which tells me that is the power outlet. See, my wires are drawn already. Okay, but I can go ahead and just make sure those are fixed. Okay, and then I want to take that information and add it to the panel. Okay, so I'm going to back up one step, remove that wire. Again, come over here, select my information. Okay, let me undo one more because I've made a mistake. Okay, there we go. Actually, I put the wire on before I connected to the panel. So go to power, select the panel, which is over this panel, and there's my wire. So remember, select your objects, select the panel, then put the wire. Okay, so there's my wire and it's connected to that panel. If I go over to my systems information, now I see that there's 43 items that are unassigned, and then that created a second system, which shows me there. Same thing with lights. Instead of taking the lights and assigning directly, I want to just select the lights. Okay, and there's another option here that says switch. Okay, so I'm looking at the switch. I want to take these lights and assign them to this switch. Okay, and once I have that, see the light power is now shows up as a separate. Okay, so it goes from this power, it's 120 volts. Okay, and I'm going to select this panel. Okay, so that included those lights. At any point though, if I want to edit the circuit, okay, I see I want, here's my switch and my light, and I want to make sure that this light, and this light are on the same switch. Okay, but this light would be more of an emergency, so it's like, okay, I don't want that one. Okay, remove it from the circuit and finish. So now that this panel, as I'm looking at it, has these lights on it. So I select the panel, and at this point, I haven't created a panel schedule yet for this panel, and I want to use the default template. Now, we do have custom templates that we can build for whatever panel you have to go there. So I'm just going to hit that default panel. Here's the receptacle. Okay. That says it's 180 volts, volt amps. On the second side, it's 128. So let me close that one. And if we look at this panel, okay, again, it's showing me those receptacles that were placed on it. Okay. Now, as you know, as we're working on this, we can build all the systems we want just by selecting multiple objects. So I'm going to select these, hit power. I'm going to assign it to the panel. Select the panel over here. Okay, so now you see that entire circuit is both rooms now instead of just the one. And when I go back to select that panel, okay, it shows me, let's see, number 2 is over there. So pull number 1, and it did increase those amps. Okay, so if I wanted to start changing circuits, then I would just go in and start changing the circuits. So if I select, go to properties, it shows me where that's at, the number 5. Okay, that's the circuit breaker number. So if I change that to 8, oh, so not the mark. Okay, and that's how we circuit the information. We select the object and circuit. Okay, so this light switch, okay, goes from here to here. Okay, you can select the light switch, go to the panel, and it is in the panel. Okay, now I'm going to jump over here to the 3D of this same information. Okay, so I'm looking at a different message here. So here's that conduit I created based on the insertion point here, the back of the panel. All right. At any point, if I want to take the conduit, okay, it gives me an endpoint, and I'm going to make the elevation 10 feet. Okay, so I went back to the options, made my elevation 10 feet. It draws a 10-foot stick of conduit in the top there. Okay, and as I draw that conduit, it places the fittings in as well. So that's an automatic. We all know that wire requires a big radius. So we want to make sure that that radius, the nominal radius that's 1 inch, but here's our outside diameters, okay? And here's our length of the bend radius. So when we take this over to fabrication, we want to know that that bend radius is there so that they can put this in the machine or hand bend it and put it over there. Okay, and in this case, I would take the connection point from the light here. So conduit, and I would add conduit to the light. Okay, and my machine is messing up on me. But looking at the conduit, we're going to need 2 more runs exactly like this to start spreading out. And so on the conduit tools, okay, you got the conduit, then you got parallel conduit. Okay, well, I want to hit parallel conduit, and up in the top here it says I want 3 horizontal, one vertical, and I want those to be 4 inches apart. Since I know this is 2-inch conduit, okay, I'm going to place them on this side. So if I just hit tab, okay, and then these two conduits here, one will go up and the other conduit will come out. And so what I want to do is go back and place my conduit. So like that, and then place conduit here. So place conduit here. Okay, and you see what happened with those conduits going up and out. It placed the junction box in this conduit. Of course, now I've got to come back and readjust all of this information to put that that box in there. But the junction box will come in automatically when it's saying I've got too many branches here and I can't do that. Okay, now once we start placing conduit in, and I'm just going to grab a piece of conduit. Okay, this is a service type, it's power. Okay, and that made every piece of conduit in that run power. Okay, and the new conduit I added. Okay, so let's say this is power as well. It was not added in the service type. So for each new conduit you add, okay, you make sure that the service type is set before you start adding conduit. So, and of course I can connect the water heater over there as well. I can connect the piping. So the water heater is electric. If I hit power and then select the panel that it goes to, okay, I've got an error because it says cannot assign 100 amp 120 volt 3-phase to this panel because this is an improper panel. So you've got to watch what your information is. Make sure that you're putting the right water heater or the right equipment to the right panels. Okay, because the panels have different ratings and they will give you that error. So just remember that you're going to get some errors if you're trying to mix and match information. Now, let me turn the properties off. Let me turn my systems off. One of the tools that is in Revit, okay, is the MEP Fabrication Parts. Okay, so if I just go back to my system browser and go to my MEP Fabrication Parts, you get the screen up. Right now I have no fabrication parts loaded into this model. But what I want to do is go and add just the electrical. So I'm going to find my library. I'm just going to add the electrical. And I'm going to hit OK. So all these parts are now added into my design here. So when doing cable tray from the systems browser or Conduit, okay, or any of this information, okay, it's based on not a set distance, but you know, say I want to make this piece 10 feet. I have to go in and physically start placing 10 feet, you know, 22 feet, make that an elevation. Okay, let's come back across. Okay, so I'm just building a system based on that information. Now with the fabrication parts, I want to select my, let's do a ladder tray just to, okay, and you see I've got specific distances coming from the manufacturer to our shop to pre-build or prefab this information. It's going to come in these standard sizes. My son worked for an electrical contractor for a little while, and he was always frustrated that the parts would always come in at 9 foot 11.5 inches instead of 12 or 10 feet even. So this will always come in at 10 feet, okay? But it comes in as pieces. So you can do your pieces, okay? You can place that where you want to, okay? If you go to rotate, okay? And then place your pieces in as well. Okay, so you have more control over this information by using parts fabrications. And if you look at your cable tray schedule, it comes in and gives you those counts of the pieces of the cable tray. Okay, so it will give you all the fittings that, you know, you build your schedule, of course, to come in, get all those fittings, all that information together. And with the cable tray information, back up a page here, okay, back over here, you do see that information is available there, and you have all the different parts: busway, cable tray, wireway. So if you're doing the wireway, okay, again, your 10-foot base. The only thing about the fabrication parts is there is no conduit. So that's the downside of using this portion. However, you can program the system, the conduit systems, by using Dynamo to come in and do that. Okay, so all right, recap. I'm just going to open up a more robust program, and we'll just jump over here. Okay, and I'm going to just hide my building. And what you're going to end up with is a system your different wire trays. You're going to end up with the entire system placed in here. And I see as I was doing this, I accidentally put a piece of pipe through the duct or through the cable tray. But I was able to take and rebuild and build a more robust system that has all of the information we need. And if we look back at the schedule here on this particular project, we see that we've got the sorry, get some water here. We see that the panel schedule has everything separated out, okay, and we can go in and start rebalance the loads, okay, or change the template. If we have a different template we can use for this branch power, we can, and it's got all the load classifications with the total load and total demand. Okay, so we can build this panel export this panel out to an Excel spreadsheet, make those changes in the field or however, and then import them back in. Okay, so just again, just a recap, electrical equipment includes all of your panels, transformers. Okay, so if I put in a transformer, I'm going to drop it in here. Okay, you see on that transformer, okay, all the connection points are here. So if I just say I want to place a conduit here to go over to that panel, systems, conduit. Okay, I want to go here. Okay, yeah, that's one point. Finish, pull that conduit from point A to point B. And I probably went below it, but I would come back in and select this panel, it's a conduit here, say yes, and then place it here. So what I would do is I would take these two connections and I would bring those together. Okay. But I'm trying to do it from two different planes. That's why that isn't working. But I would take this, okay, and I would make sure that it's going to this panel. Oops, wrong panel. Or maybe it's the wrong transformer. But I keep getting that warning because my transformer and my panels aren't lining up. And so when you're designing these, make sure that they do line up. Okay, and it's simple by going in and changing the correct panel. Okay, so that's a 280. Okay, maybe if I change it to 600 amp. Okay, but the engineering calculations in Revit are under settings. Okay, so the electrical under your manage and electrical settings, MEP settings. Okay, this is where you want to set up all of your wire sizes, your menu sizes, your voltage definitions, your distribution systems. You set all that up in your settings and then things will work. Okay, and again, to place conduit, you just grab the conduit, place it. Okay, so conduit, place, and we'll go down this time. Okay. So you build your system. You can build your system in 2D or 3D. In 2D, it's just very simple. Go conduit. Want to make sure I've got it set at 4 feet so I can see it in this view, but I go 4 feet and then 10 feet. Okay. So you see that the conduit goes down at this point. Okay, and then And you see the elbows and the down symbol. Okay. All right, I am going back over to my slide. So some of the imaginative services that we have available, there's the AEC Jumpstart, which is a mini training, if you will, on building templates, on getting you started in the door. Okay, currently we've been doing BIM 360 Jumpstarts, and we have Revit Jumpstarts where we go in and we actually show you how to build a template. CAM services. So that's computer-aided machining services. So we have those. Data management, facilities maintenance services, PLM services, reality capture. We are getting invested more into. Software development, assess and advise, BIM and CAD management, BIM for manufacturers. We do a health check. We'll take your models and we'll look at them to see if they are being built properly, and knowledge assessments. So, do we have any questions, Katana?
I do have a couple questions.
Okay.
System tick marks are all straight. Is there a way to modify the ground wire to be a half circle defaulting towards the power source?
Yes. Let me jump back over to here and let me see. Okay, so I asked that question one more time, Katana, just to make sure I understood it right.
System tick marks are all straight. Is there a way to modify the ground wire to be a half circle defaulting towards the power source?
Let me, okay. There is a way to do that, and I can't remember exactly where that's at right now. I think, let me go up to system or manage and settings. Ground conductors, no. I don't know where that's at right now, but I can look it up and get back with you on that. It's a.
Okay. We will be able to follow up with you via email. Second question, is Revit 2021 lighting system still contained to only one switch per system? We routinely use three-way or four-way switching systems, requiring switching to use dummy switches which show up as unassigned.
Unfortunately, yes, Revit 2021 still has the single switch system. I know that last week at AU, they were talking about adding that particular function into the one of the updates coming up, but as of right now, yeah, it's still a single switch system.
All right, well, those are all the questions for you today. If you guys have any other questions that come in, feel free to email us and we'll be happy to assist. Also, this webcast was recorded and we'll make sure that each of you get a copy. Thank you so much and have a great week.